The most important catalyst for Tesla coming up for the second half of this year in 2025 is the planned unsupervised Robotaxi launch. Today, we'll review how different investors are viewing how the Waymo and Tesla Robotaxi wars will shake out, and a deeper dive on how Uber will fare. Some are now seeing no way out for Uber, including, by the way, its past founder and CEO, Travis Kalanick. But others, like Goldman Sachs, are still betting big on the company. We'll also review the increasingly bullish statements Elon and Tesla executives are now making on their plans for 2025. Joining me is Larry Goldberg. Thank you so much, Larry.
Thanks for having me.
So this is it. This is the year of Robotaxi wars. You know, people think of it's really the only Robotaxi people out there, companies out there is Waymo. Of course, there's a number of Chinese. Tesla's non-existent. Tesla's coming this year. And many still think Uber is going to have a role to play. So let's listen into this.
Tesla shares are down today after its first ever reported drop in annual deliveries. But the company's key value heading into 2025 could really be in its Robotaxi technology. Deirdre Bosa has more on what to expect in today's Tech Check, D. And right on cue, all the bullish analysts like Dan Ives are saying that's why you have the stock. And that's what Elon Musk has said before himself.
It's all about robotaxis, right? And so that sets up Tesla versus Uber, robotaxis versus rideshare as one of the most interesting or compelling battles of 2025. Take a look at how Tesla and Uber shares have performed since Tesla's October 10th robotaxi event. As Tesla shares surged on excitement over its robotaxi plans, Uber moved in the opposite direction, reflecting an inverse relationship as investors weighed the impact of Tesla's innovations on Uber's business model. Now, Uber bulls, they argue that displacement fears are overblown. Its entrenched network makes it an attractive partner for robotaxis, offering fleet management or a combination of human and robot drivers that will boost reliability. But that position, it's really been undermined in recent months by Alphabet subsidiary Waymo, the current dominant player in robotaxis. Now, at first, Waymo did offer some hope, partnering with Uber for its driverless fleets in Atlanta and Austin. But then, as Waymo expanded its network, it left Uber behind, partnering with a fleet management startup in Miami, a local taxi company in Tokyo. Meanwhile, Tesla's robotaxi vision doesn't rely on any partners. An Airbnb on wheels is how Musk has described it. And while Musk has indeed long overpromised and underdelivered on this front, there has been significant progress on FSD technology, which will underpin those robotaxis. There is a chart from Altimeter Capital showing a 1,000-fold improvement in FSD's disengagement ratio last year. That went from version 12.1 to the current 13. Also, guys, I thought this was extremely interesting. Travis Kalanick himself, who we really haven't heard from, he's the former CEO and co-founder of Uber. He weighed in at a conference in Saudi Arabia a few weeks ago. He was asked what he would have done had he remained CEO of the company, of Uber. Take a listen.
Oh, man. We could take the whole hour on this one. I'll keep that one short. I mean, of course, we're doing the autonomy thing. I'll put that aside. I think Elon's going to take care of that at this point.
Basically admitting defeat there. Now, Kalanick also said that before he left Uber, they had one of the preeminent AI labs. But of course, when Dara Khosrowshahi took over as CEO, he sold the self-driving unit in an effort to achieve the profitability that Wall Street was agitating for.
Let me pause it there. So very good coverage so far. I'm shocked how good that was. Good. I thought it was pretty accurate, fair. What was your thinking of what you heard there so far?
You know, everything I see on television is now colored by my personal experience driving my own Cybertruck. And I also bought this week my second Model 3 in a week. This one I'm driving myself. I'm comparing both. And I have to say, I haven't intervened in, I don't know, a week or two in any way, shape, or form that is, you know, critical. The software is definitely getting there. So I, like many of my peers, feel fairly confident that 2025 will bring autonomy. And you know, that's kind of where my position, that was my position last year and even the previous year. So I think if Tesla achieves autonomy in 25 or the early part of 26 and actually puts its rideshare business out, mid of next year or towards the end of next year, I think they've definitely got an opportunity to take the field, to win the field and take the leadership. I think it's going to be winner takes most. I honestly think they're well positioned to be winner take most. But I'm a Tesla bull. I'm very confident of Elon's ability to take the leadership position in this business. James Dowmer had an interview this last week that was very telling. I mean, one of the things that James said that really hit home to me is that it's very unlikely that Elon will share with Uber because he wants to maintain the relationship with the customer. And I've been long saying that I don't see any reason why Tesla would not work with Uber just as another outlet. But I think James' point, I said to myself, duh, why didn't you think of that? That's just the obvious thing. Elon really, really, really wants the direct connection to the customer. For better or for worse, that's where Elon is. And so I think that on balance, I have to agree with James. And on balance, I have to think that Tesla is going to win this war. It's going to be winner take most, and Uber is going to be in very, very serious trouble.
Okay, that's new. Thank you so much. Well, you and I have had this conversation quite often.
You were right.
Last 6 months.
You were right. 100% right. I was wrong.
We'll see. We'll see.
I think I was wrong. I think James' point is very clear.
He articulated well, but yeah, I we've been saying I don't see why Tesla would need to partner with Uber. We'll see, right? He did say they want fleet managers. He does so. There may be a role, but your point about winner take most, I don't understand why people still believe that there's going to be this competition that becomes a commodity, right? Because it's about price.
It's about price.
And who can bring the price down lowest?
Price. It's
as simple as that.
All about price. If you only have to look at Uber themselves, and it's interesting. Lyft undercut Uber, didn't help them. So it's not
No, they can only undercut them for certain periods of time, and then they can't. If they could undercut them, what happens is Uber then matches them, right? And then they outlast them, and then, it's typical.
I think that the problem for Lyft is that they just don't have the density of drivers, and they don't have the density of drivers because they don't have enough customers. So, this is the network effect. And so Uber already has the network. So that is that would be the counter argument. That was why I thought it pays for Tesla to use that network effect in an interim basis.
We'll see. Okay. Yeah. Let's watch this a little bit more and see what else they're saying.
And look, guys, there was benefit in that, too. Uber is now a $130 billion market cap company. It was added to the S&P 500. It doubled down on food delivery at just the right time. Looking ahead, though, and this is what matters, there are signs that momentum has stalled. The stock didn't do much last year. And what Kalanick once called the existential threat from robotaxis, that will continue to weigh into 2025, making it one of the biggest battleground names of the upcoming year.
I don't know. I can remember Travis promising me, maybe it's 2018, he was promising me fully autonomous vehicles on the streets of Manhattan in a few years. So, we'll see.
Well, yes, that promise of self-driving cars has been so long unfulfilled, I would argue, until last year. David, I don't know if you got a chance to ride the Waymo robotaxis here in San Francisco or in LA. They're coming to Miami. It's changed the game.
I did want to ask you, Deirdre, the advances made, and I know Brad Gerstner, you cited him from Altimeter, has been all over this. He's obviously owns the stock as well. How significant are they in terms of the system that Tesla's using in generative AI and what that's meant for the improvements they've been able to make from one model to the next in terms of full self-driving?
Right, David, I heard you talking about this earlier as well. You were exactly right. They're developing it in a very different way, using more generative AI than, say, Waymo is, which is using a system of sensors and LiDARs. LiDARs is something that Tesla doesn't use. It's hard to tell, right, because you have, Tesla superfans who say that it's even better than what Waymo is doing right now, but we haven't actually seen that in practice. And Tesla cars still need someone at the wheel, a safety driver, or whatever you want to call it, someone at the wheel. Waymos don't require anyone at the wheel, and there's a fleet of about 10,000 of them right now, delivering over 150,000 trips per week. That is where, I really see the significance and see it scaling. Small for now, but you can see that threat becoming a reality. The one that was so far away or so overpromised for so many years, it was here last year. It's going to be here going into 2025.
Okay, wait, whoa. She is, what? So number one, Waymo's fleet is 1,000 vehicles. Where did she get the 10,000 from?
I was actually going to Google that while she was talking, because
I just did.
That number was just out of all proportion.
It was 700 before. Now she's saying it's now 1,000 now. It's not 10,000. Number two, she says these are driverless. Waymos are driverless. They are remote driven. They could very well be 1-to-1. Every Waymo, there's only 1,000 of them. You can have 1-to-1. Now let's say there's 2-to-1, there's 3-to-1, there's remote driven. So even though there's no one in the front, they're being supervised. So you have a supervised now, and you have supervised, and of course it's limited geography, all that. But okay, so they were doing so well.
She was doing very, very well, quite factual, until she got to the 10,000 number. And so much for the value, so much for the quality of. Is she a CNBC correspondent?
Yeah.
Or is she,
Yep. Yeah, CNBC.
Classic. Isn't that classic? Hey, wow.
Yeah. So back to Uber, Uber CEO himself, Travis Kalanick, basically said, Elon's got this already. Of course, he's no longer part of Uber. He's kind of like was kicked out and all that. So he's got that, shadow behind him. We don't know. But it's not just him. Almost every CEO of every major tech company have come out and saying Tesla's got this. The only ones who are not coming out saying this is the people who not wanting to listen to those folks. Here's Goldman Sachs, who's still going to bet big on Uber, part of their big bet. And of course, they have a different time frame than we all do. So just keep that in mind.
Let's hit our call of the day. Uber added to Goldman Sachs' conviction buy list as it comes off its worst month since May 2022. Josh, you own this one.
This is the most mispriced stock in all of large cap tech. I know it's not a tech stock by taxonomy. I know it's considered a transportation. I cannot believe the ridiculous idea that this company's cash flows are going to be affected by robo-taxis that are not on the road from Tesla. But that's kind of what happened. I think everyone understands that autonomous is the future. If you're sitting at Uber right now, all you're doing is rubbing your hands together. I can't wait. The single biggest problem for Uber is capacity. They don't have enough rides in order to do this the way that they really want to do this. So if there are autonomous vehicles in cities all over America, those can be aggregated into the Uber app. Uber is currently working on a pilot with Waymo in the cities of Austin and Atlanta, where the Waymo cars will be included as an option into the Uber app. Uber is going to be the demand aggregator for the autonomous age. People selling the stock because they think it's like roadkill because of the cyber taxi or whatever, they completely missed the story. It's one of the fastest growing companies right now. They're going to have enormous cash flows this year. It's trading under 30 times earnings. And they haven't even announced their buyback plans yet, which is something that we expect at some point during the month of January or February. So I love the stock. I added to it on the recent slide. I've been in the name for a very long time, and I still think it's a triple-digit name. At some point, once we get past this complete misunderstanding of what the actual story is going to be.
I love the passion. I hear it.
Holds quite a bit of the stock, and so that explains why he's still doing this. You know who else has been selling Uber stock?
He's a damn good investor, so that means something. Look,
the CEO of Uber themselves, Dara Kozrowski, has been selling his stock like significantly. He only owns a third of his shares at this point. Then you got Brad Gerstner of Ultimate Capital, who owned billions of dollars worth of Uber, sold it all. He was talking big about Uber for months. Then he sold it all. Now he's talking, and he bought all Tesla at this point. So now he's talking big about Tesla now.
I'm with Brad. I'm against Josh. I'm on that. That's my side. I can see their argument. I mean, they really believe that Uber is going to be the consolidator. It's going to be the fleet manager of all fleets. Then you get to Waymo. Waymo has $5 billion of capital. That's like chump change. That's 100,000 cars. Even at fire sale prices for cars is 100,000 cars for their type of car. That's not going to cut it, across the United States. And right now, even Waymo is not using Uber. So I don't get his argument. I mean, I don't think Uber is going to be a winner. Whether they actually survive or not is interesting. The question whether you're going to have riders for, food delivery, that's another open issue. So there are a lot of issues, but I kind of look at the main chance, and the main chance is autonomy. And autonomy really does not, Uber could be a consolidator, it's true, and it's up to Elon to make that decision. If Elon decides against it because he wants to keep connection with the customers, he's got enough, they have enough reach. Tesla has the reach now and the name now that they didn't have 2, 3, 4 years ago. I think Tesla could do it. So we'll see. Time will tell. I'm not a betting guy. I'm buying Tesla because it has so many arrows in the quiver, so many huge arrows in the quiver that, and it's got energy, it's got the vehicles, it's got the Robotaxi, it has the bot. There are, and the semi's coming. So, the semi is a whole industry, a whole business of its own. I'm not buying ride-hail businesses. I'm buying autonomy.
Yeah, there you go. And then with 7 million cars out there now, Tesla can just turn most of those on, and then they don't have to buy the cars. In fact, customers bought them. Customers are paying them for FSD. They just turn it on and then start generating revenue as they implement them. That's a big difference in business model. Here's, a compilation of all the things that Elon's been saying and Tesla's been saying about their confidence about Robotaxi since Christmas. So you've got this, you got Elon saying, with a lot of work and good ideas, I think it could exceed the value of all transport companies. He's talking about Tesla's market cap, excluding SpaceX. Tesla themselves said a Robotaxi future is closer than you probably think. You got Farzad saying he's officially off the joystick train. At one point, he was pitching that he thinks that the cybercabs were going to just slap on a joystick and they can be sold as a more affordable vehicle. But now he says, he said, no, Tesla's going to have millions of Tesla Robotaxis roaming the streets way sooner than most people realize. Elon said should be obvious to people at this point. And then just recently, Tech Danny said, how can you call yourself a tech influencer and not recognize how advanced Tesla software is? She's talking about Tesla's advanced software. And Elon says the brutal reality of the situation will hit like a tsunami towards the end of next year. This is such the most confident statements I've ever seen him say. He said that by end of next year, it's going to be so brutal. The reality will be so brutal that I don't know if he, and then of course, Dave Lee said, the tsunami he's referring to is unsupervised FSD. Elon replied, yeah.
That was the most powerful statement I heard all week. The brutal reality by the end of next year. So mark your calendars, everybody. This is it.
It's Elon's 2 weeks though. So that's what people will say.
No, I think it's very clear to me. This is not 2 weeks. This is the first time he hasn't said 2 weeks. Mind you, he always talked about this year feature complete. But I think we are in the year of feature complete. I really do think so. And I haven't thought so before, as you know. So
yeah, no, that's right. Thank you so much, Larry. Appreciate this. Follow Larry on his X account at Tesla Larry. Thank you very much. Bye, everybody. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.